So we are here at the Beauty Boss Saga, and we have our special guest, Maria Esme. Hello.
Hello.
And so we have actually met a few times in over the years. Like we were just kind of discussing when we first met. And I know we have worked a couple of events, well, a few events together for other companies. And I feel like that's where we kind of, jived a little bit. And you have Hughes and Dews, that's your company,
That is correct. It's
right?
Hughes and Dews Beauty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hughes and
Yeah.
Dews
Hughes and Dews
Beauty.
Beauty.
Okay. Um, so in this industry, we kind of have a group to where, if we need help, we call on other artists, to kind of help and freelance and help with
Yeah.
the
I think that's
workload.
pretty neat.
Yeah,
I like our network.
I love our
Yeah.
network. I love our culture that we kind of, created.
Yeah.
So, and then, we go work for companies as they need it
Mm-hmm.
too, because, companies need good help. They need people who are going to show up and know what they're doing and have a clean kit and all the things.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a big deal. And I think we kind of connected at an event, or at least the last event I remember. You were like talking about something with your kids at school, and I don't know, there was some sort of drama or some sort of
You'll
beef
have
or
to remind
something.
me.
I don't remember what it was, but you're like,
Also, you'll have to remind me of the event because we've done so many. So,
this one was at Balmoral, I think we were working.
okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you had said something about like somebody harping on your kids or something, and you went to go address another parent. And you're like, you know what?
Oh, yes.
You're like,
Yes.
I love Jesus, but I can get ghetto.
Oh, yeah.
I said, oh my
It's
gosh,
like,
she's my favorite person
I
right
forgot
now.
what the saying was, but yeah, no, like,
Yeah.
like, hey, I gave my life to God a long time ago, but come on now,
Yeah.
like,
You don't want to see this, so it was so funny. But anyway, so yeah, I just want to like highlight you, and
Thank you.
I loved,
I truly appreciate it.
Of course, I love, your work is beautiful.
Thank you.
And
Yours is too. I love your makeup applications. They're the best.
Well, thank you. So I just want to, tell your story, how you got started, how long have you been in the business, and, kind of what you're doing now and all the things.
So, if I'm being honest, cosmetology was not on my cards in life.
Yeah. Okay.
I've never been like a girly girl type of person, and I've had the Barbies, but they've always had buzz cuts.
Yeah.
So
funny. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no. I mean, the way it all started, I got my cosmetology license when I started school. I didn't know how to braid.
Okay.
I didn't know how to do anything with hairstyling. Which was pretty interesting because, in cosmetology school, they just teach you how to pass your test.
Yes.
And I truly love the school that I went to just because there were so many people from different backgrounds and we were all teaching each other different skills.
Cool.
So it was there that I learned how to braid. And I loved it so much. You'll never believe me, but at school, so I was going part-time at first. That entire 4 hours of school, I was literally just sitting there on my mannequin trying to figure out how to braid her hair.
Okay.
And I finally figured it out the next day. And from then on, it was just like all kinds of styles and all kinds of like different things in hair.
Yeah.
And it just came to be that way. But I thought about going to a salon like right after cosmetology school. It didn't work out.
Okay.
It's just more so the demand of like the salons, and I had babies at the time, so I'm not ancient, I promise.
Yeah.
I'm just like at that time, corporate wasn't what it was,
Sure.
where like they didn't really favor us as women with children because, they're like, oh, she's going to call off because her kid's going to get sick or something like that. So my husband and I sat down at the kitchen table, and this is honest to God, I had the thesaurus book out and everything, and I told him, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go rent a studio. We need to come up with a name because we need to figure this out together, how we're going to pay these bills, how we're going to how I'm going to be able to utilize this license, this expensive license.
Right. Right. Yeah. Super expensive.
But I'm like, we're just gonna have to figure it out. And then we were looking up different names in the thesaurus of like what kind, like colors, hairstyles, and makeup. And Hues and Do's Beauty was born there. Me and him came up with it.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's such a clever name too.
Yeah,
like the Hues and Do's. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah, so like at that time, I was doing hair color, I was doing haircuts, I was doing all of it, like under the umbrella of cosmetology. Like I was doing everything. But I started doing like a wedding. I did my very first wedding, and I did not like the way her hair came out. I just want to throw that out there. Sorry. Girl, you gotta start somewhere. Yeah. So, I was that $50 queen where like you come and get your hair done for $50 and go off to the chapel.
Okay.
But yeah, no. That's how it started, and that first hairstyle kind of like, it was like a little flame that just like lit.
Yeah.
And it went on from there, and I bought like 4 mannequins of different hair textures, and
Good.
I went to town.
Good.
So, yeah.
So from there, so you just primarily, your focus was getting started with hair. Did you immediately incorporate makeup into that? Or when did it kind of just spark that you're like, oh, I can actually do this as, a business and offer both, for 2 services for the same client?
Yeah. So I think there had started to, I was just strictly a hairstylist.
Okay.
I offered services as a hairstylist. I would get like these really big wedding parties, and I had a few people reach out to me asking me for makeup services, and if I have a makeup artist on the team. If I don't, they don't want to book with me.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, well, you're not my client, babe. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Like this is what I offer, and this is what it is. Well, when that started happening, for some reason, I don't know how, the universe, but it started to become kind of like a ripple effect from that one client. Then on, a lot of people started asking for makeup.
Okay.
So I'm like, I do not want to do makeup.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I refuse. But it was hitting my pocketbook, and it was hitting the bills, and it was hitting all of that. So
yeah.
So with that, I was like, you know what? I need to take a class. I need
Education.
to just swallow that big pill and go and do a makeup class. But when I took that first makeup class, seeing everything that goes into it, even I knew the basics of it, like the hygiene, keeping like everything clean, because, makeup is not something you take lightly. It's,
right.
You're messing with skin, and you're messing with like, just in general, like people's personal space too,
Yeah.
So I took a makeup class, and I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I don't know how it ventured into special effects. Actually, yes, I do. I messed up somebody's makeup, and I was like, holy crap, this looks so cool though.
Yeah.
I was like, this can actually go in like a certain kind of movie or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And then from then on, that's when I kind of started venturing into special effects. I started learning color theory, like what colors work for certain skin types,
Tones.
like it just
undertones.
The undertones, everything. So it got to a point where I got so obsessed with it. I took the 3 primary colors and like just different colors, and I started making my own foundations.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love custom blending too. That's awesome.
So like with the whole makeup thing, that's how I got into it. And I started offering makeup services. And my aesthetic, like for my company, we're strictly like natural, neutral makeup. Okay. We don't do glamazon makeup. Okay. We'll do like a natural glam here and there. But we won't do glitter cut creases or anything like that. So like I'll ask my clients before they come into the studio, like, hey, what would you like? Because if it is a glitter cut crease, I'm happy to give you your deposit back, because we do not do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, thanks for your honesty. I'll take the natural makeup, just because they really like what they see on my profile.
Right.
They end up booking anyway.
Yeah, so, exactly. And like, I say this all the time, like your business grows at the speed of trust,
Oh
right?
yes,
So
yeah.
if you're honest with them, like
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna trust you so much more walking in the door. You've already like they walk in trusting you
Yeah.
versus like, oh, what am I gonna get?
Yeah.
And that's where
No.
you see a lot of the nitpickiness and
I feel
stuff.
like that's really important. I get a lot of people in my chair that like they talk about that and they're like,
Hmm.
"Yeah, I booked with this girl and she had these pictures on there, but it came out nothing like that."
Yeah.
And I'm thinking it's somebody that worked with her or that's
Hmm.
something that I've always been strict about. So like everything that you see on my profile on Instagram and Facebook, that's all of my work that came from my hand.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like I feel like it's wrong to put yeah, granted, yes, you contracted the person out or whatnot, but for you to advertise
But
that
that's not
look,
your service.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
You should be
So
authentic in
I feel
that.
like that's really important to establish. You are right. The
Yeah.
trust is a really big thing.
Yeah. Exactly. So you went in and you did mostly, got started with the bridal and then you said, okay, once you had the little oops, you're like, oh man, but I really love my oops. And so then you go in and you start doing special effects. So how much like do you primarily do bridal or do you primarily do like what's your love now?
My love right now, so sometimes, as an MUA, as a hair and makeup artist, we get a little burnt out.
For
So like
sure.
it's nice to have different avenues. So right now, right now it is special effects.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
And like
Fun.
it's probably like more special effects than bridal for now.
Yeah.
But during like the fall and spring, it's definitely bridal.
Yes. Yeah, because those are like our hit, like we call those our hot seasons or our hot
Oh
times,
yeah, yeah.
because like you're booked so much. Um, and those are like peak, But so for special effects, do you find that there are like seasons to that too? Like I would think, like Halloween season, all of that kind of leading up to it.
Excuse me.
Okay. Um, Leading up to Halloween, or is it like, just gig by gig? Do they even call them gigs in
Um,
special effects at all?
Yeah, so
Okay.
like it's like an all year round thing. So like
Okay.
I have a separate kit for special effects makeup.
Okay.
I like to keep those away from each
Separate.
other
Mm-hmm.
just because there's so much that goes into it and then I make my own prosthetics.
Okay.
So yeah, no, it's not just Halloween. It can be an all year round thing depending on like who's calling and needing like a certain makeup on a production or like a photo shoot or whatnot.
Okay.
Um, I would say mostly Halloween, just because there's a lot of people that want that kind of gore.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it can be an all year round thing. It
Okay.
doesn't necessarily have to just
Just
stay
be
in
in that
Halloween.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that kind of I feel like connected both of us was that yes, you're doing the HMUA stuff and you have your business and whatnot, but then I found out that you're also going to nursing school. Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless you, first of all. Because
Thank you.
I you're like, I need it. I'll take all the prayers. But in 2010, I became a nurse as well. So I worked in nursing. I would do nursing during the week, and then I would do weddings and events, special events on the weekends. And I was so busy, right? And then I had my baby, and then I had to kind of like give up one at that point, and I gave up nursing and just focused on
Yeah.
my business at that point. And thank God I did because it allowed me the freedom, to be a mommy. At that point, I was a single mommy, um, so I could actually do the mommy things, and then I could also schedule my business as needed. And at that point, I grew my team, and it skyrocketed, and I was just so blessed. And at that point, just the sequence on how God moves is so
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah.
But I love that there's such a correlation between artists and like medical field. It's so
Yeah.
funny. So expand on that just a little bit. What made you decide, oh, I want to be a nurse?
Well, before I had kids, I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's always been a goal of mine. Um, I've always liked helping people.
Hmm.
I was a CNA before I had children,
Good. Yeah.
and building that relationship with the elderly and just
Hmm.
seeing where they come from and seeing their past.
Yeah.
Like everybody has a story,
Yeah.
and I just feel like it's my job to be of service, like just humanitarian wise,
Yeah.
like just help people,
Yeah.
even in sickness or just being there for company or
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know. That's just something that I've always had in me
Mm-hmm.
where it's just, I think of it like with Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
like, being hands and feet of Jesus.
Right.
So, like, serving one another in kindness and love and having compassion
Yeah.
and just being there for one another,
Yeah.
And that's something that's always, like, been instilled in me. And it's just something that I always wanted to do with nursing,
Mm-hmm.
Everybody needs some. I mean, it's amazing that we actually have healing hands,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's always been a calling before I had kids. I do believe that God has a path for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that this is part of my journey,
Sure.
being a licensed cosmetologist and having my own small business.
Yeah.
One, it all worked out. Either way, it worked out.
Yeah.
It was a point where we started the business. I had more time with my kids, and my kids were small.
Yeah. That's
They're
so important
I
too.
have two teens now,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I have an 8-year-old. So like
Wow.
I got the chance to see them
Mm-hmm.
grow up. I got the chance to see them do all the firsts, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
still seeing a lot of firsts,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
awesome.
I mean, I say both ways have been a blessing, but
Yeah.
like I'm at a point where like I'm almost done with school. So
Yay. Thank you,
I'm
Lord.
yeah. Oh yeah. So like I'm at a point before I started school, seeing that my kids and what age they were,
Mm-hmm.
I prayed about it. I've prayed about this my whole life, and I have
Yeah.
been so patient just waiting.
Yeah.
So I felt like God was telling me, hey, like your kids are able,
Mm-hmm.
like it's your business is doing well,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you've always had this on your heart,
Yeah.
and it's time.
Yeah.
So I want you to go back to school. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid. I'm going to
Yep.
guide you the entire way,
Good.
but you need to go back to school. So I'm like, here I
Here you are,
am.
just
Yeah.
trucking along.
Yeah. Making all
Yeah.
the good grades too.
Yes, even if
Yeah.
it's not a good grade, remember C equals RN. That's all that,
Oh,
that
for
matters.
sure. For
All
sure.
that matters.
Learned that in farm this past
Yeah.
semester.
Just get through it. That's all
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so when you are, you know, in nursing, and I love that you um like that aspect of being able to empathize and sympathize with people. That is such a need. Some people get into it just to, I'm a nurse, it's an easy paycheck or
Oh my God.
whatever.
I've met so many people like that.
Yes.
You know what, kudos to everybody who, have gotten into the program or, like
Sure.
have, made it on the list or whatnot.
Hmm.
But like some things that I have noticed that has been a trend for quite a while is that people do things for the paycheck. Yes, I know this economy sucks,
Yeah.
but like it's more to it than just the paycheck. You
Yeah.
literally have a person's life in your hands.
Sure. Yeah.
So like I saw a lot of that this past semester where they're like a lot of these people are like book smart, which is
Yeah.
great.
Which
It's
is good.
great to be book smart.
Right.
But like at the end of the day, it's the critical thinking. It's
Yeah.
knowing that you have a person's life in your hands and it's not just like a roulette thing and just
Hmm.
getting paid.
Yeah.
It's the caring, it's everything that goes into it.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, there's such a
You're right.
weight and responsibility that's associated with it, and that's one thing. I loved patient care. I loved working with my patients and my clients, and um, just being with them. I worked med surg telemetry, and then I did some ICU, and you're literally with them on the worst day of their life.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
they need somebody who is going to, number one, advocate for them,
Mm-hmm.
and number two, explain to them like, okay, well, this is a situation, and this is what you can do. It's truly
Yeah.
educating your clients and your
Yeah.
your patients. They call them clients at my hospital, so, but your patients, and And it's so important because a lot of times they don't know really why they are in the position that they're in. And the doctors really don't
Yeah.
take a lot of time. And they're sometimes they're so
Oh.
curt and you're like, ooh, doc, like
Yeah.
dial it back some, you know?
Oh, I've seen that so many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
I saw a nurse tell a doctor, like, "Hey, I work with you, not for you." I'm like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
you
well, it's
sassy
true.
pants."
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes there were times that I had to put, physicians kind of in like just a reality
It's
check.
just
This
more
is
so of a
how,
reminder, like it's teamwork.
yeah.
Teamwork makes
And
the
a lot of
dream work.
times, there were times that I saved the patient from the doctor because the
Oh,
doctor was trying to make some calls that was not
yeah.
appropriate for that patient's care. And they had a God complex. And I was like, hey, whoa, time out. Let's just, so I truly at that point educated the client on their patient rights and saying, hey, you have the right to refuse or you
Yeah.
have the right to a second opinion,
That's the isn't that beautiful how we
Yes.
can like we have that room to do that.
Yeah.
Girl, I was like, they're gonna bring the mama bear out of me.
Right. And it's a good thing. It's a blessing because they need somebody to step in on their behalf. If they don't know, they don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
you're right.
anyway, no, I absolutely love that. And then but also seeing the how it kind of transfers from like patient care to even doing your business, your hair and
Yeah.
makeup. So like I always explain, patient care is like making sure that they have a pulse and they're breathing and all the things.
Hmm.
Like you said, their life is in your hands, but it's not just about that they're alive and breathing. It's also about quality of life and how they view themselves,
Yes.
So in the beauty industry, it's like, wow, I've had people be like, I've never seen myself as I could be
Isn't that
this,
like the best feeling?
Yes, and
Like
I
when
like get
they,
goosebumps because I'm like, oh,
yeah.
honey, like this is you, boo boo. I
Oh,
just enhanced,
girl, I'm such a hype queen.
Yeah.
When I start seeing someone feel themselves, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yes, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Girl, you'll see me like turn a whole other page, like a
Yeah.
whole diva moment.
Right? I love that. It's so
Yeah.
important too because they need to feel that they're worth or,
Yes. Yeah. I
worthy.
think that's cool. Yes. I can see how those two kind of relate and
Mhm.
in that way, feeling cared for, feeling like pampered, like,
Yeah.
just taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I've seen that even the moms,
I
right?
know
The
the moms.
moms.
The moms when they're not super stressed, you're like, okay. Once they feel like they look good though,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, I got this.
Oh,
You
girl.
know?
It's like the moms turn into this whole other
Yeah.
like person. It's funny. It's just like, what did you need? Nothing.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So true. And I love getting that for, having that spark or that, moment with your clients.
Yeah. So it's that, but also with our kid being clean.
Uh-huh.
So like
Mm.
learning so much. So like a lot of what I learned in cosmetology kind of related to what I learned in micro.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Not so much sciencey in cosmetology, but knowing like the strains of bacteria and which ones are resistant and which
Uh-huh.
ones are like treatable
Yeah.
and it's really really important if you're listening out there. Please make sure that your makeup artist kit is clean.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
sanitized and you're
because
taking all the precautions. Yeah.
strep A and all of those things are very real.
Yeah.
So
Very
like
real.
yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
of that is very real, and all of that, like even staff or all of that, please
Girl.
just keep your kit clean. Keep
Yeah.
it clean.
Yeah, sanitation is a
Yeah.
huge deal. And I feel like as a business owner, it's number one, your
Oh
responsibility
yeah.
to protect your client, but also you're diminishing the liability that you have for yourself,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, like, I always teach that, an asset is something that brings money to you, and a liability is something that it takes money away from you. So, if you're decreasing your liability, section or whatever, you're going to take steps so that you don't have to pay out for somebody's medical bills or,
Yeah.
a lawsuit or whatever it can happen at that point.
Yeah. It's all of that, but be clean.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, but don't be gross,
Don't be
right?
nasty.
No, there have been
Yeah.
some artists that I'm like, oh my gosh, really? Or they're
Oh my
using the
gosh.
same brush on like 3 different clients, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like my pits are sweating just even looking at that,
Yeah, like I have seen people clean the like quotes. So like I've seen people like clean their brush and then
Mhm.
use it again. And I'm
Mhm.
like, no.
No, don't
And
do
then
that.
I've seen some MUAs where they'll take their lippy
Uh-huh.
and they're like, okay, next,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And then use it on somebody. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, no,
gosh.
no, no, no. It's like, you have a lip wand, right?
Yeah. And
What?
did the
No, that
best.
it takes too much time. I'm like, oh God, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I clean up after. I'm like, no.
Mm-mm.
Like, no, like you have to just cut a piece off. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like cut it off and put it on your little
Yeah, on your
makeup
palette.
tablet thing
Mm-hmm.
or whatever your palette.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, please, like just for the love of God.
Take the steps.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
blisters are real.
Yeah.
Like herpes is real.
Herpes.
Like please.
It's all real. Yeah. So that really, like you said, they go hand in hand. I feel
Oh, the
like
mascara wand,
nursing.
girl. Don't get me started.
Oh my
Don't get me
God.
started on mascara wand. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I've seen people spray like their 50%
Oh
alcohol or
no.
whatever on the same wand, dunk it. And I'm like,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
God, RIP.
Yeah. She's like, oh God.
Yeah, I'm like, RIP. Oh my gosh, this is so
Oh.
bad. I want to go home and wash
Yeah.
myself.
No, I know. I need a bath. No, that's crazy. Yeah, I've seen so much. And that's what I really feel like taking, you know, people who are in the business and have been in the business for a hot minute and actually have, background in, the nursing field or they've done the education or whatever, they really need to speak up into people
Oh,
in the
yeah.
industry because it's like, oh, come on, we got to elevate. Let's
Yeah,
elevate. Like, we're
so
not doing this
there have
anymore.
been quite a few times where I have approached somebody and I'm like, hey, I'm like, you have lip wands?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, no,
Yeah.
no, we don't need that. We just like kind of wipe and go. And I'm like, no.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. I feel like if somebody's brave enough and bold enough to bring it to your attention, you should probably listen.
I try to approach it like,
Respectfully.
yeah, not
Yeah.
because so some things that I have noticed as boss babes.
Uh-huh.
So like I noticed that anytime some of us try to offer advice, a
Yeah.
lot of people get offended.
Sure.
For me, I will happily take constructive criticism. I
Yeah.
love constructive criticism, but when you
Yeah.
get in my way
Uh-huh.
and you're like fixing it in front of the client,
Yeah.
or you're like quote unquote trying to teach me, I'm like, there's a way of doing this.
Well, and there's a time and place too. You don't want to do that in
Yes.
front of the client
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then
yeah.
they lose trust in you
Yeah.
and what you're doing.
Yeah,
So they're going
yeah.
to question every little thing from that point on,
I will not work with somebody that does that.
Yeah.
I will not work with somebody that does that. No, seriously though. Like I feel like there is a way to approach things
Sure.
and there is a way to talk to people.
Yeah.
You can even like you said, me and you were like trying to hang out for coffee just to hang out and talk about hair, makeup, and nursing, right?
Uh-huh. Right.
Or just like getting to know each other.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a time and a place to do that and just talking to each other and schooling each other and just helping each other
Yeah.
and lifting each other up.
Sure.
Instead of going in. I've had quite a few people where like, let's say I did a hairstyle and there's like probably like a little strand hanging out.
Yeah.
I've had somebody approach me say like, oh, that doesn't go there. And I'm like, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I'm like, come again? What did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to put more pomade on her because you have her hair looking like a little frazzled on the side.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I will not be working with you anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
Don't call me out in front of the client.
Uh-huh.
I feel like if you are going to say something like that, it's the approaching way of, oh my gosh, her hair is so pretty. Like,
Yeah.
it looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, look, check this out. Like, like it's the
Yeah.
eyes. It's the, like,
Mhm.
it's talking with eyes.
Yeah.
And we are pretty good at reading each other's
people.
body
Yeah,
language,
we
too.
do.
So
Yeah.
we're like, oh, yeah, thanks so much for that,
Right.
Like, okay, later on, then address me. Just say, hey, you know what? There's this awesome product that you can use,
Uh-huh.
and it'll calm the frizzes down.
Uh-huh.
And, like, just put it this way and that way, and it'll, like, be a dream.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that when you try to downplay somebody else just to make you look better, like
Yeah.
that's what I have a problem with.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like you should, I don't know, you should definitely just like, I believe in my personal belief when I'm doing events is that if something's out of place or whatever, like iron
Yeah.
sharpening iron, like yes, like bring it to my attention, do uh please feel free to speak to me or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah.
like exactly like you
We're grown
said.
ups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But just to downplay somebody else, then that's not cool, like for me.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, you don't know more than me.
I think it's just more so people take it to the head. Like
Yeah,
they take their title to the head and
yeah,
it's like, hey, like we're all out here doing this together,
yeah,
Like I get it. It's your company, you're the face of your company and there's certain things
yeah,
that you want done, but there's a way to approach
yeah,
people
for
and
sure.
not so much being like dictative, I guess, like
Uh-huh.
where you're like, oh, you need to do this, do that,
Hmm.
in front of the client. I feel like that's so disrespectful.
Yeah. Well, and two, I kind of always approach it because I might be at and same for me. If, I know that if you're over there across the room and I'm seeing in the mirror here, you might be seeing something from a different angle. You'd be like, hey, boo, like, I don't know if you saw this or whatever, but it's kind of sticking out a little bit or whatever. I just, or maybe turn her around and I would love that. Like you
Yeah,
said, constructive
honestly,
criticism is
sometimes I'll
good.
ask, I'm like, hey, and they're like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, can I stick a bobby
Yeah.
pin right here? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm gonna give you the bobby pin,
Uh-huh.
and you can stick the
Right.
bobby pin. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, bet.
Yeah.
And they just do it, and they're like, man, thanks for that. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
just
and
saying.
things happen,
I've been a hairstylist for like 12 years, and anything like sticks out. So it's
Uh-huh.
just like,
And sometimes that happens like they move around or whatever and something
yeah,
will
that
like
too.
boing, and you're
Oh my
like, okay.
gosh, girl, the steaming.
You're right.
When they
The
get their hair
steaming.
done and then they go steam,
I
I'm
know,
like,
don't do that.
no, please don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we end up having to fix that too, but
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. So let's say, what are some attributes that you look for, like working with a company? I know you said, okay, well, in that instance, you'll never work for that person again because they disrespectfully called you out during, in front of that. So what are some things that, for a company, you're like, oh, I will definitely work for this person again because hands down, XYZ.
So with moving forward, because a lot of us, we just like randomly reach out to each other and
Yeah.
ask for help, right? Because we
Yeah.
like our portfolios but like we like each other's portfolios and everything, right?
Right.
Um, Moving forward, something that I've wanted to kind of start doing is like if I don't know this person and they're a new company,
Mm-hmm.
I am going to start making the time to grab a cup of coffee with this person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just ask the right questions because even as freelancers,
Right.
these are good questions to ask because we don't know their payment system. We don't know anything about them. We just know that it's work that needs to be done.
Yes.
And sometimes we jump on this without knowing about the company, knowing, and I speak that out of experience.
Yeah.
I say that out of experience because, when you're young and hungry for it, you're going to jump on it. And I've had several where they didn't pay me right. I've had several who took too long to pay me, when the payment was promised after the service.
Okay. So like the day of, like it was
Yeah.
promised at the day of or the day
Yeah,
after?
like the day of.
Okay.
Like the day of. It's gotten to a point where like it has got to a point where like, oh, I forgot to pay you because I went to eat. Or like, oh, I forgot to do this because, I fell asleep when I got home.
Okay.
For me as an owner, and as, I get other freelancers that come and help me out, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I pay them on time. We're all artists around here and we're all, a company too, and
sure.
it's it's just something that I have in place where like, hey, I'm not going to hold your money because you finished the services, this is your work and this is going to you. That's it.
Yeah.
But moving forward, any new companies that reach out, I am making it my priority to get with them at least 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks out, I won't take any last minute work anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Unless I actually know you guys. So like if you
Right.
were to reach out and be like, hey Maria, are you available tomorrow? Yeah, yeah. If I am, yeah, I'll go help you. You know?
Yeah. Well,
But
because it's established.
yeah. But I'm gonna start sitting with new people just to get a feel, just to see if the chemistry is there, just to see if our values are aligned, just to see if you know if you are a legitimate person. Yes. But when you cancel the coffee date, I won't work with you because that tells me that you don't keep your word. You don't keep your promises. I know that sounds crazy. Yeah. But it's just...
Well, it's an integrity thing.
Yeah.
Your word, that's your yes, yes, or your no, be
unless
no.
you're like, oh, crap, I got in a wreck. Like, I can't meet... No, that's different.
Vomited on me on the way to school.
Yeah, like, holy cow. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're just canceling just to cancel on me, I won't work with you. Yeah. And I know that sounds so diva or so strict, but it's just because of experiences that happen. Yeah. Because there's a good side to the industry and there's a bad side to the industry. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just moving forward. Just sitting down, having a cup of coffee, making sure that everything is in place, everything is right. Getting a feel of the owner, you know, seeing where they're coming from, seeing why they built their business, or, you know, seeing if this is something they're passionate about, you know. So just getting a feel of who you're working with.
You know what you're getting into. Yeah. And then you're not like realizing things as the event's unfolding. Yeah. There's some companies that I've worked for and I'm like, I will never again. It is a crap show. Every single time I go to work for this company, it's like nobody knows anything. They're add-ons. They're, you know, like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's inevitable that they'll call me while I'm working their event and be like, hey, we have someone, 20 minutes away. Can you go handle them? And I'm like, no.
Absolutely not.
No, I'm here, boo. Like, I'm going to do this and that's it. Because I've got my own appointments afterwards. Like, we do several events in a day. So it's not like I can go here and there. Usually if I'm available, and I can help the situation, I would like to. But for this company in particular, hell no.
Yeah, no. I when I first started out, I used to take last minute work because I was just so desperate to get pictures out of my work, and you know.
Well, you're in hustle mode.
That too, and newbies. You know, we were noobs.
Yeah,
so like you're just in a rush to get your work started and get it going and get it moving. Yeah, and then the money is good when you're new too. Right. You know, so. Yeah. I had this one experience where this person needed somebody like last minute, and I was told how much I would get paid. I was told that I would get paid after the services were done, and it was like a whole crap show. I didn't know where I messed up was I didn't know this person. I didn't know that this was their wedding. I didn't know anything. I was just there, did the hair. And I met another MUA there, and I've been working with that person for like off and on, and they were pretty great. But but it was just like a whole crap show. And when I asked about my money, I kept getting excuses. Like for the first excuse was, oh, we don't do payroll till a week out, and I'm like, well, I was told I was going to get paid today. Yeah. And then the second excuse was like, oh, we got a flat tire. And I'm like, that's not my problem. I'm sorry you got a flat tire, but that's not my problem. Yeah, bummer. And then the next one was like, oh, a family member passed away. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like you're going through a whammy week. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm sorry this is happening to you. Very professional, very cordial, never saying a cuss word, never saying anything. Yeah. Dude, I got dragged. I got so dragged. It was so embarrassing. I got cussed out. It was so embarrassing. That was the first time I ever experienced that. And shout out to Miriam. She's the one, she like talked to me and she was telling me like, hey, I know you're new, and while there's good sides to the industry, there's bad sides to the industry. And unfortunately, you experienced the bad so early. Yeah. So
but don't let it stop you,
Yeah, that's what she told me. She's like, just keep going. It's going to be okay. Like this is really unfortunate. But like she helped me understand that too.
Yeah.
Because like before, I've never experienced somebody like talking to me like the way that person talked to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do I address this? Because naturally, the Latina side of me was like, let me get my cousins. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
That's hilarious.
But no,
so
like,
true.
Yeah. So like, I was like, I got a brother. No. But no, I was just like, how do I approach this? Because I'm not interested in the banter.
Yeah.
And then that's another leveling up too, is how to handle like people like that.
Yes.
And how to handle clients like that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, this is a growing up lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like in my mid-20s. I was like, this is a growing up lesson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to learn those hard knocks.
I will say that was a tough thing.
Did you ever get paid?
I did get paid, but
good.
I got shorted.
Oh,
but
man.
I got paid.
Okay.
But I took the L with that one. So I was like,
yeah,
it is what it is.
The lesson.
Yeah, just cut the ties, and you already know who to work with and who not to work with. Yeah. So just keep going. You know. True. So.
Wow, I know it's unfortunate that sometimes like you encounter those things, but the benefit, if as long as you have boundaries, the benefit outweighs the loss.
Oh yes, you're so right about that too, because as a new artist, and like I'm not a new artist, I'm seasoned. Pretty seasoned.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, speaking to new artists,
yeah,
like, even though you are desperate to get your name out there, even though you like not desperate but eager, you're eager. Yeah. Make sure that company is vetted. Make sure that you look at their reviews. Make sure, because even us as artists, we review each other. Mm-hmm. So like even photographers review you, and everybody reviews everybody. Yeah. So like just make sure you know who you're working with. Yeah. Make sure that you understand, payment systems. Make sure all your ducks are in a row, basically. Yeah. That way it'll be a smooth thing for you. Yeah. If that's something that I can share for that, like, yeah, just make sure all of that is in order.
Yeah. What would you recommend to artists that are trying to break into the industry? What would be the best way, in your opinion, to get their foot in the door or start working or trying to kind of get the ball rolling in that direction?
Yeah. So my opinion on that, I would, well, not my opinion, but my advice.
Yeah.
I would definitely invest in some mannequins, some really long-haired mannequins.
Yeah.
Invest in some good quality tools, because your tools will take you so far, invest in your kit. Mm-hmm. Practice.
Right.
Also, if you're interested in breaking into the industry, shadow somebody.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have to shadow just for no pay.
Right.
And that's just, it's more so kind of like with Obi-Wan and Anakin, but without the bad.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, just find your Obi-Wan and find somebody who's going to train you. But also, whoever's training you, they also have to be comfortable with the fact that one day you're basically kind of like a caterpillar. Yeah. You're going to break free and you're going to become this beautiful butterfly, and you're going to have your own. Yeah. And you want to align yourself and get with people who are going to build you up and not break you down.
Absolutely.
So that's my advice for that.
So important. And really and truly having that conversation, I think, from the beginning. So you're both like under the understanding, you'll both understand, what to expect, and what you're, as a new makeup artist, that your goal is to eventually be in your own business and off on your own and all of that. I think it's important to make sure that you cultivate a relationship that is going to basically have, community in that, and that you can call on each other as needed
Oh
versus
yeah.
burning bridges,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like if you don't know anything about the wedding industry but you're interested, find a legitimate company, find a sensei.
Yes.
Yeah, find that person who is actually going to let you train under them,
Mhm.
who's going to show you the ropes. And it's not so much just going in there to use them, but you're going in there to actually learn.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just going in like, oh, I'm going to learn one hairstyle and this. No, you're going to learn more than a hairstyle. You're going
Mhm.
to learn customer service. You're going to learn, you're going to learn so many things other than
Yeah.
styling hair.
Yes, there's so much more to
Yeah.
it
Oh,
than just the hairstyle.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to learn, and I know everybody's like, I'm my own boss. I'm my own boss. You're going to learn how to be a boss, how to be an accountant, how to be everything under the
Yes.
word CEO, because it's not just like, oh, I'm my own boss. I'm going to call the shots and tell people what to do. No, honey. You're going to have to do the accounting. You're going to have to do your taxes. You're going to have
Mhm.
to be the customer service. You're going to
Mhm.
have to be the admin. You're going to have to be everything.
All of
You're going
it.
to have to learn how to wear all the hats. So
Yeah.
just remember, going in there under as an assistant is the best way to go because you will learn all of those things, and yeah,
Yes.
that'll set you up for success.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I think it's always important to, like, if you're planning on getting into whatever industry you're getting into, go and work, even if it's at the bottom of the bottom, and you're just
Oh yeah.
go in and you observe and say, okay, like when I went into, I decided I wanted to go into nursing, I became a CNA just like you. And I was like, you know what? I love this field. I love the patient care. Um,
Yeah.
I do not want to be here for the rest of my life,
Oh
though.
yeah.
I want to do that. What that girl's doing right there, that's what I want to
That's
do.
so funny. I
Yeah.
would say that all the time too.
Yeah. So same for, the makeup industry or the hair and makeup industry, any cosmetology industry, really. Go in, be a receptionist. You're going to pick up so much
Oh,
more
absolutely.
before you even spend the money on school, or, just make sure that you love it first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
after that, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, you can do
Yeah.
it whatever you want. So, being in your own business, what advice would you give somebody who's like, "Oh, I want to do that," um, and how to grow their business?
Well, for somebody that says, I want to do that, welcome. We have cookies. We're
Yeah.
all crazy because we love this,
Yes.
but it's nuts.
So funny.
But I would say just get ready to wear all the hats.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Being a boss is not just being a boss, it's wearing so many hats.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, no, my advice for that is, yeah, just that.
Just
Just do it.
yeah, just
Don't,
do it,
yeah.
jump, but you're going to actually, be ready for those moments where those self-taught moments too, or like you're dealing with customers and you're dealing with other people in the industry. There's two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
I think a lot of time too is, be prepared for those moments where you're actually refining yourself to become a servant leader versus just, a positional leader, like
Yeah.
I'm the boss
Yeah.
babe, whatever. There's so much more to it.
Oh,
Once you
absolutely.
learn to serve your team, or you learn to serve your
Yeah.
customer, you are going to grow so much. Like, your business will grow so much, and you'll get the
Yes.
referrals, you'll get the reviews and all of that. So, um, I think that, but then you also have, like one of the hats we wear, like you said, accounting, marketing is another one
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of
That is a
makeup artists,
beast.
it is, it's so hard to understand. And it's so hard to like, because we're in the artistry, aspect of things, and we're like, oh, we're creating or whatever, but there's this whole like, how do you get the customer, so you can either go work for another company and they got the customer, or you can travel, word of mouth is another one. So do good work and it's going to spread. It
Hmm.
takes a little bit of time for that to happen, but that's okay. And then what do you think, like, as far as I know that you said that you focused on Instagram, as far as your marketing strategy goes, you did, Google ads you talked about, and then also social media. So is there anything else that you would add on to that?
So, marketing strategies, it's just more so staying consistent.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy because I'm preaching that right now,
Yeah.
but I have been so bad at that.
It's okay.
But, like I said, you wear all the hats. You can only
Mm-hmm.
do so much for so long,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would say just with your marketing strategy, stay consistent, be creative, make sure you're targeting your right audience.
Yes.
I feel like that's really important. If your aesthetic matches your audience, I
Yeah.
think that's even more important,
Yeah.
because um, you don't want to waste your money in things where you're advertising to the wrong clients. And then, like, for example, I provide natural aesthetics, like
Uh-huh.
just natural makeup,
Yeah.
natural glow, natural glam. And somebody reaching out to me saying they want like a cut crease, and I'm like, well, I don't do cut creases.
Yeah.
We do natural glam, So I would say make sure you're marketing to the right clients. Make sure your advertisement is on point. What is it? What is your main goal with the advertisement first and foremost?
Yeah.
Um, how long do you want to keep advertising for?
Yes.
That's another
Well, I
important
feel like
thing.
sometimes that can just be like a black hole. You're just throwing money in it
Yeah.
and there's no true conversions. Like there was a long time ago, I advertised on the Knot in the Spotlight, and before they merged, it was Wedding Wire. So I was doing Wedding Wire, the Knot. I was going to bridal shows it was probably 4 times a year I was doing bridal shows.
Yeah, I've
And
actually never done a bridal show. I've
really
always wanted to, but I research,
research it.
marketing and research
Yeah.
is important. So like it's the question of, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth it going these avenues? Is it worth it? Okay. You're scared to commit to this pricing package, or you're scared to commit because this is your first time experiencing this, right?
Yeah.
So research plays a huge part, especially in the marketing part.
Yeah.
So reach out to your other fellow MUAs.
Yes.
Ask them, hey, do you have a package with a knot? Did you go to extravaganza?
Uh-huh.
Like, did you do all of these things? What are your thoughts on this? Did you get any profit from it? Because
Right.
this is a huge investment. This
Yeah.
is, a lot of people say, oh, it's not that huge. To some people, it is huge,
yeah.
And it's getting honest feedback, because then you have to remember you're talking to the competition as well,
Right.
and they're not going to want you there.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
talk to some. That's why it's important to get to know who you're working with, get to know who you're talking to, get to know who is in the business,
Yeah.
and ask them their opinions, ask them what they've experienced, ask them, and it's not just one person asking one person, it's asking multiple.
Yeah.
Because eventually, if somebody is telling a lie or speaking the truth, you'll see what weeds out the most. So like for me, I did my research, and with getting a booth here or there, I asked multiple people, and multiple people came back with the same story. I had 2 people tell me a different story.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, okay, I'm going with the multiple people because
Yeah.
everything sounds the same.
Yeah.
I think it's more so the other people, they were like, get out of here.
Oh,
like,
really?
This is my area. I've already marked this territory.
Yeah. Very territorial. And that's somebody too that you probably wouldn't want to align with anyway.
Yeah. So
just because
that's another way of weeding out too.
Yeah.
That is another way of weeding out. But yeah, no, with marketing, it is a beast. You'll probably spend a lot more time marketing.
Yeah.
Just because you want to get the right clients in your chair,
Sure. Yeah.
What's been my saving grace for marketing is Canva. So I'm pretty good with making my own graphic designs. It's not so much just looking for something and grabbing it. I design a lot of my ads. So a lot of my ads, which is another reason why I lack in that section, because I take so much time perfecting the ad. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cute. I'm going to throw this here, this here.
Yeah.
I'm like, who do I want this to target?
Yeah.
You know what? I know who's going to see this.
Uh-huh.
So like my latest ad, I created that ad and like little pieces here. I took off some of the excess that was on that ad.
Okay.
And then I kind of like pieced it together, made it a little bit bigger. And I'm like, you know what? These girls, like these prom girls, they're like all glitz and glam, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, this past season, it's been glitter, all glitter.
All glitter.
So I was like, what better way to advertise glitter than disco ball? So like I put the disco ball on the ad and I put whatever song is trending in high school because I have a high schooler and that works in my advantage. So
she's got inside intel.
I'm like, hey, what school is like? I mean, I'm like, what song is like poppin'? She goes, nobody says poppin'.
Yeah. So you're like, okay,
I'm like, okay, well, like, what school? She's like, okay, what's trending is she's like, there's this song on Fortnite that comes on a lot, and then there's this and that. So it's funny because I put a Fortnite song on my ad and I got so many prom inquiries.
Whoa.
And a lot of the girls that inquired, most of them are gamers.
Oh my gosh.
Which was really cool.
That makes sense.
So you're advertising.
Your target market.
Yes. Matters. So remember the song that goes in your ad. Remember the way your ad is being advertised and like everything. It just all comes together. Yeah. You know? So just watch out for who you're targeting or like just figure out who you're trying to target and get in your chair.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Interesting, right?
I know. I love that. I love that because it's like you have to think outside the box. And I feel like your target market is, you know, you actually want to personify that person. Is that okay? I want him to be, you know, a prom. I want him to have this type of job. I want him to, whatever it is, you know, they're gamers or whatever. Yeah. And you can totally just tailor it to that specific customer.
Funny story is that my intention was not to get a whole bunch of gamers
that want to be pretty.
That was not my intention at all. But it's pretty interesting seeing so many people come in and they're like, oh yeah, my gaming tag is this or whatever, or like my gamer tag. And I let them know I'm a noob.
Yeah.
So like I know very little about Fortnite. I've tried it before and I just keep getting killed.
Yeah.
So it's not they take all of my things. They'll wave at me and then just boom, you're done.
How funny. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, it every little thing counts. In advertising and marketing. Every little thing counts. My intention was not to get a few gamers in my studio.
Yeah.
That was not my intention at all. It was just because that's what was trending. But because that's trending in the gaming world, that's what came.
Yeah, that's what came. So, that's what you attracted.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I also learned about some new games. So I'm excited to try them out too. So
how funny.
I grew up off of Halo, girl.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I grew up off of Halo.
That's awesome. Okay, well, is there anything else that you wanted to, you know, touch on, or you know that maybe your clients, like what will for your clientele that you attract in? What kind of, you said you see a lot of the natural look. Do you do a lot of weddings versus like proms and special events, or is it kind of like shifting?
Yeah, so it's like a mix of both. It's a mix of both. So like when prom season comes around, it's a lot of prom.
Yeah.
I like to make space for my prom girls. I feel like because some things that I noticed is that everybody's so desperate to find a stylist. Another thing that I noticed is the communication too. A lot of them reach out to other companies and half the time they don't ever get any feedback or response. Yeah, so
that is baffling to me.
Yeah,
the amount of people that just don't respond.
You know what trips me out more is that they tell me who they reach out to, and I'm like, I literally just talked to that person a day ago.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't know if I should tell them.
Or maybe something's wrong with their website or something. So, I would say something like, hey, you know, this is what happened. Just like, because I've had that happen before.
They're cared for.
Yeah. They're my client. They already booked with me, but.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, no. I would just want to plug my Instagram. That's it.
Go ahead.
You guys can follow me at Hues and Do's, HUESNDOS. And then if you want to follow my special effects page, that's Gnarly Effects.
Okay.
That's GNARLY Lyfx. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing both of those. I love seeing your work. And of course, being in the nursing industry too, you get some extra, like,
You should see my threads.
Oh, yeah?
Nothing but like organs.
Yes, I love it.
Like, this is what we learned today.
Yeah.
Or like where we were talking about the literally a breakdown of sperm.
Oh, yeah. Like, okay.
I'm like, you know what? What you call it? Salt and pepper. That's a perfect caption.
So funny. That's perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Really enjoyed hanging out with you. So.
Same here.
Okay, well, until next time.
Yeah, thank you.